Welcome to Sought After with Sonita, where we discuss godly relationships. And if you're interested in having a godly relationship, why not subscribe and we journey together? In 2016, I experienced the worst breakup of my life. I was in a relationship where I was so emotionally attached to the guy, and it was not hard because he was a good person. Handsome, caring, loves the Lord, and loves me excessively. In fact, he loved me more than how I loved him. He was so attached to me. It was as though I was his world. But then, despite all this chemistry between us, I was certain of one thing: that we could not get married, that we had to break up. It was a situation where whenever I received a love text message from him, I'll read it and I'll just cry. I'll not know how to reply him because I don't want to encourage the love between us, and I don't have the courage to also tell him that we have to break. Even I was not so willing to do what I knew I had to do. Why? Because I knew how much that would break his heart. How did I even get here? It all started one afternoon, 2015. I was going to church for Bible study. I noticed that the young man passed me by on a bike, and he actually looked at me. I took note of the fact that he looked at me, but that meant nothing. Guys look at a girl walking on the street all the time. My work lasted about 5 minutes, and I got to church. Bible study had started, and there was that guy in front teaching. The guy that just passed me on the bike by the road was teaching. It was my very first time to see him, and actually that's a church I've been fellowshipping there for about a year. I sat down following up with the Bible study, and as he was teaching, I could tell that he took note of me. He kept glancing at me. After the meeting, normally I was going my way. He followed, greeted, and that's how a friendship started. So he asked me to marry him 1 month later, and it was at a point in my life where I wanted to get married. If you have listened to my other video of how I got the spirit, you understand it was within that phase. I asked him for time to pray about it. I prayed for a little while. I don't know what God said because I didn't hear him say no, nor did I hear him say yes in any way. So I just weighed my options. He had the qualities of somebody that I wanted. And so a short moment after his proposal, I went ahead and I said yes. And bam! We're in a relationship, wonderful relationship. He was just visiting my town during that time. So he later on moved back to his own town. So we continued with a long distance relationship. We were not far apart from each other. So he used to visit like every month. He was friends with our church pastor. So he come to stay with his friend, but technically to spend time with me. And it was a wonderful relationship. Everything was fine. Now, we were about 6 months gone into this relationship, and I realized that people like my mentors knew nothing about it. So I went ahead and told 2 of my mentors. One was just cold, and the other one was like, this is not the right person for you. Well, but who cares? For me, at that point, their opinions did not matter. I was in love. He was a good person. I wanted to get married. And every other person saying any other thing did not matter. So I gave a deaf ear and I moved forward with my relationship. As time continued passing, I discovered that slowly my peace was leaving me about the relationship. Actually, he did not do anything wrong. He kept being more and more loving, more and more caring, more and more vulnerable. But I kept becoming more and more worried about the relationship. Then I decided to pray, to study, and to really reconsider the counsel that I had ignored. I started seeing a lot of our incompatibilities. I remember at that time the euphoria phase had passed. The emotions have calmed down. At least my reasoning has started working a little better. When you just start a relationship, the first 6 months, it is hard for you to reason normally at that time. I'd accepted him, but then I did not really check out some things. So at this point, I could reason. I started checking out things. I saw a lot of our incompatibilities. First thing, I discovered that his purpose and mine were grossly incompatible. I was not sure that I was going to be able to support him in his most passionate pursuits. And he was already neck deep into it. It was not even something that I was thinking that, okay, at some point he might change his mind. No. So I knew at that point that I was never going to make a good wife for him. I could marry him, but it would be hard for me to be a hermit. Secondly, there are some qualities that once a man has, I just find myself respecting you easily. He did not have those qualities. And I started reasoning and seeing that the Bible expects me to be a submissive wife. Even in this relationship, I find it difficult respecting this guy. Maybe I'm just with him because of how much he loves me. Not that I actually respect and see a husband in him. So first, I'll make a bad wife. That will create a bad relationship between me and God and between me and you. You might be able to tolerate my excesses during the relationship, but in marriage, you'll not be able to tolerate it. And I'll not automatically develop respect for you when you don't have the things that command my respect. So I'm already seeing that the marriage my enemy disaster. But he wasn't seeing any of this. All he wanted was me in his life. I knew he would make the wrong husband for me, and I'll make the wrong wife for him. But then I was so scared to break his heart. One particular evening, he sent me a text message full of love and concern, and I just read the message, lay on my bed. All I could do was cry and say, God, help me out, because I don't know what to reply. So I just kept the phone and stayed quietly crying. So he sent another text message. It seemed as if you're tired of me. And then I took it to be a hint, like maybe he's already getting the fact that I am no more into the relationship, so no need to motivate him, since truly I'm no more into the relationship. Even though emotionally I still wanted him, but my reasoning let me know that I will not go anywhere. I text him back, when I'll be tired of you, I'll let you know. From then, messages kept entering my phone. Oh, he's sorry if he has done anything that is making me tired, this. And that was even worse, because at that moment he was going through some crisis. He had some difficulties, some drawbacks in his life. So he took that to mean that I am tired of coping with him and all his crises. And he was telling me how that he's sorry, it will soon be over and all of that. So that now put me in a position of pity and guilt. I had pity for him. Like, he's going through a lot. I cannot go and add another heartbreak to the lot that he's already going through. And I was feeling guilty, like, how can I be leaving him, especially at the time that I was stuck in that relationship out of pity and guilt. I was kind of cold, but he was ready to cover up 80% of the love, even if I'm giving just 20. So you see, I was trapped. I was in this trap because of the mindset that I have developed. Before that moment, I was that kind of a girl that I have decided that I would never break somebody's heart, because someone had broken my own heart before and I felt the pain of it. So I decided I would never do that to another person. So at the point of entering that relationship with him, I had no plans to do that. But then it was evident to me at that point that I had to do it. But I was not ready. I was just thinking, how can I cause him so much pain? Secondly, I'd always thought of breakup as a taboo. Like, it's something that is bad, it's wrong. You don't go into a relationship with somebody and then you eventually break up. Now that I look at it, I was wrong. Breaking up with somebody in a relationship is not such a taboo. Why am I telling my story? The key issue of telling this story is to let you know that breakup is not necessarily a taboo. The process that leads to marriage is two people trusting God to lead them with the right person into marriage. And it's a process that should have some degree of liberty. Even though we don't intentionally come in and out of people's life and break their hearts anyhow, there should be some degree of liberty. You should feel free to leave at any point when you want to leave. And you should feel free to let go somebody if you discover the person is not for you. When you are in a relationship and you attach your self-worth to that relationship, breakup will normally be a taboo, because when you break up with the person, you feel like you're useless. You think you're useless. I know normally breakup should always be hard, but it should not destroy you. That is why after I had dealt with that relationship and I now got into this relationship that led into the marriage where I am now, I had learned my lessons. I had already known that relationship is not a do or die affair. You can be inside and then you discover that sincerely you made a mistake, you leave. So at that point, I told my husband to be, if at any point in this relationship you discover that I am not the one for you, no matter how close we are to the wedding, please tell me, let's separate. Not because I don't love him. In fact, he's the one person I wanted to marry. But then, simply because I had gone through different relationships, and I had learned that people come into relationship with good intentions, and at some point they discover that they actually need to break up for good reason. That breakup is good for them more than marriage. At some point, the best gift you can give the person that is in relationship with you is to break up with the person. When you discover that it's not working, the best gift you can give the person is to let them go. Like the relationship that I'm talking about now. I knew that breaking up was the best thing I could do for him, because marrying him, I'll be a bad wife. Yes, I'll not respect him. No man wants to have a wife who does not respect him. He was a wonderful person. There are 101 girls that will respect him. Why stay with him when I will not? So we need to normalize breakup. But unfortunately for me, at that point in my life, I had not yet normalized breakup. And even for him, I don't think that he normalized breakup in any way. He had not seen it like one of the acceptable possibilities in a relationship. I'm stuck in this relationship at this point out of pity and guilt. I continued praying and crying. In fact, the crying was more than the praying. I was down. Peace was not with me. I even prayed for God to change his mind, and God didn't. I had to do what I had to do. As I read and I prayed, I realized that a marriage can never stand on the foundation of pity. I might pity him today, but I'll not pity him all my life. So I told him we had to meet. He opted to come, but no, I don't want him to sing. I'm the one to give the bad news, so I opted to travel to his town. I don't want us to meet at his place, so there was a spot in town where we used to meet. It was one of the most difficult days in my life. I got there earlier than him, so I bought a big wrapping of tangerine on my way. The intention was to take it home when I'm done. As I went and sat there and kept that big wrapping of tangerine beside me, I was getting more and more nervous. I had memorized how I would say it, but then as time passed, I kept getting more and more nervous. I did not know what to do. I started eating that tangerine to calm down myself. I don't know if you are like me, but when I'm distressed, I try to calm down myself with food. So I started eating that wrapping of tangerine, really big wrapping. I started peeling and eating. Before I knew, the wrapping was empty. I ate a quantity of tangerine I never believed I could finish, all because I was nervous. And if you ask me if the tangerines were sweet or sour, I will not tell you, because my mind was not even on it. Eventually he arrived, eager to find out what would make me travel to come and see him and all that. After a lot of struggle, I finally told him. When I did, he simply looked at me and asked, "Is that so?" I said yes. And then he picked up his phone and left. I felt mixed feelings. I felt the feeling of wow, I finally removed that thing off my chest. And then I actually felt bad for him, like what could he be thinking? He would have even said something. He just left like that. So I tried communicating with him. After that, he was not willing to communicate. He was obviously heartbroken, and he simply told me to give him space, that he needs space to heal. I totally understood. I understood that my presence in his life at that time will not help him heal, so he needed that space to heal. So I apologized again, and I gave him the space he needed. So that was the worst breakup of my life. It is when somebody breaks up with you, it is not because the person is a bad person that intentionally wants to hurt you. Sometimes it's just an innocent, clueless person who made the mistake of accepting a relationship with you without seeing all the sides of the coin. Yes, I know that some people are heartless and they might just want to hurt you, and from the beginning they knew they didn't want you. But some people might actually want you from the beginning. They are ready to live their lives with you, but later on they see better that they were on the wrong track. Normalize breakup. If you're in a relationship, don't build your self-worth around the relationship. Love the person, be so in love with the person, but be ready to let the person go at any time, because there are times that the best thing you can give somebody in any relationship is to allow the person go. For example, like in this relationship now, I was not even leaving him because of another man or because of any better prospects for myself. I thought of myself being a bad wife, which I did not want to be one. And I also thought of him. He was too good to have a bad wife. And I was not ready to change who I am, what I like, everything about myself in order to become what he needs in a wife. He wasn't seeing it. So I had to save both of us though. So let's normalize breakup. When breakup happens, we are heartbroken. Don't seek for your healing from heartbreak from the person that break your heart. We are humans. We can break one another's heart. Someone had broken mine before, I've broken that of another person before. But then it is God who heals the broken-hearted. He binds our wounds and he heals our broken hearts. No human being can. And if your heart is broken, stop blaming the person that did it. I'm not even talking like one that has never had a heartbreak too. Somebody had just left me stranded, no explanation, no closure. But then God healed my heart. In fact, right now, no grudge, nothing. So if you're heartbroken, go to God for healing. The person you're even angry with for breaking your heart might be heartbroken too, but might even be angry or with him or herself too. Like for example, even when I left him, there was time I was wondering if I would still find somebody in life that cared for me like he does. Because he really cared for me. But all I needed to have a great marriage was not a man that cared for me. I needed more. I needed divine conviction. Yeah. Even the fact that I had no peace with God in the relationships. Normalize breakup. If you think the worst thing that can happen in your relationship is breakup, no. It's not the worst thing that can happen to your relationship. Actually, the worst thing that can happen is for you to marry the wrong person. You would have rather break up with the person and each of you marry someone else. Right now, he's married to a woman that respects him. But why should I have forced to marry him? He's not the only man on earth. I'm not the only one. Okay, thank you. I pray that you have the courage to fix your mistakes and not be stuck somewhere where you know you are not supposed to be there in the first place. And if somebody wants to fix you both mistakes together, be willing to live. Marriage is not the ultimate. It's about marrying right.